All rise. I pledge allegiance to the flag
To the flag
of the
of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands,
one nation, under God, indivisible.
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ladies and gentlemen, the New Jersey Open Public Meetings Law was enacted to ensure the right of the public to advance notice of and to attend the meetings of public bodies of which any business affecting their interests is discussed or acted upon. In accordance with the provision of this act, the Riverdale Regional Board of Education has caused notice of this meeting to be publicized by having the date, time, and place thereof sent to the record, the Ridgewood News, and the town news newspapers, the constituent borough clerks and borough libraries, as well as posting in the school district's principal's offices, faculty rooms, and board offices. According to New Jersey Public Law 2001, Chapter 226, smoking or use of any tobacco product is strictly prohibited anywhere in public school buildings or anywhere in school grounds, including but limited to the parking lots, grassy areas, and athletic fields. Violators will be subject to a fine not to exceed $100. Roll call. Claudia?
Here.
Alan?
Here.
John?
Here.
Tracy Ellen? Doug?
Here.
Barbara?
Here.
Stephanie?
Here.
Joe? And Al?
Here.
Jesse?
Here.
Noel?
Here.
And Joshua?
Here.
Okay, I will read the mission statement of the Regional School District. It is to provide a safe, student-centered environment in which each student is valued and respected, to challenge each student to reach his or her potential, to nurture every student's intellectual, social, physical, and emotional growth, to promote a healthy work ethic, a passion for learning, and a respect for oneself and other, to develop responsible citizens for our diverse community and an ever-changing world, to continue to involve our community in an active partnership, to provide all students the opportunity to achieve and exceed the New Jersey student learning standards
Is this going to bother you?
and the New Jersey core curriculum content standards. We will break from the agenda or the procedure on the agenda, and we'll have Patrick give his update before we open up to public comments, okay? So Patrick.
Thank you. I have 4 items to discuss. First is give a quick update on the principal search.
Mute, unmute, Pat.
I'm sorry?
You might be muted. Yeah,
Oh, sorry.
there you go.
Better?
Yep.
My apologies. The first, I have 4 items on the discussion. The first item is to give a brief update on the high school principal search. We received just over 40 applications for the position. We've gone through a paper review, narrowed the group down to a smaller number. That smaller number is now being interviewed by 3 administrators, and that after we go through that process, we will be recommending 4 or 5, maybe 6 individuals to a panel that will include 2 teachers, 2 administrators, 3 board members, and 2 parents. And I'm hopeful that that process will move rather quickly so that we could be in a position to recommend from that panel to the board 2 or 3 individuals for an interview so that we could do an appointment in the middle of November. Second item is just provide a quick update to the 2 items of exposure that we had to COVID over the past week. We had an individual who tested positive. We were notified of the positive test on Monday, October 19th. The second individual was notified us of of a positive test on October 22nd. In consultation with the Bergen County Health Department, because the exposure, or because the school building for high school is in Oradell, and Oradell contracts with the Bergen County Health Department, we utilize them as our local health department. River Edge has its own health department. So if the exposure was in the middle school, we would deal with the River Edge Health Department over there. The contact tracing, if you will, revealed that the exposure took place at a off-campus event, didn't have anything to do with the school. Hence, we were not in a position where we needed to close the building. However, between the two events, we have about 56, 57 students that are in quarantine and 8 staff members. So while everyone is healthy and being at home, they're able to participate virtually, and the staff members are able to continue teaching virtually. And we hope that we do not end up with any further exposures. However, we should all just be aware that it is in the process of happening. As some of you may be aware, the Oradell Public School is now closed for 2 weeks because of 2 exposures down there. Recently found out that both high schools in Pascack Valley system are going to be closed now, which will cause a disruption to our athletic schedule this week. And there are a number of other schools across Bergen County that have already closed at some point or another for a COVID exposure. So hopefully we will not be in that situation and continue to limp along. As I've indicated to the board, though, should we have a couple more exposures or even one that impacts our staffing, while we may not have to close specifically because of COVID or COVID infection, we may be in a position where we just don't have enough staff members who could physically be in the building. So we may have to have an interruption at some point or another because of staff. I'm hoping neither one of those situations arises, but it's a possibility. Third, provide an enrollment update. We've been tracking our in-person versus virtual learning over the course of the 3 weeks that we've been open. In the middle school, cohort A in person has started week 1, average 188 students, week 2, 185, week 3, 185, and today, 181. So it's remained very steady. Cohort B, 206, week 1, 204, week 2, 203, week 3. Tomorrow will be their first day in the 4th week. Again, it's remained very steady. Correspondingly, the virtual instruction has remained very steady along the way. 102, 105, 105, cohort 1 or cohort A, 72, 73, 74, cohort B. That is not the case at the high school. In-person instruction for week 1, cohort A, was 402 students. Week 2, 385. Week 3, 324. Today, 236. So there's a significant shift. I attribute it to the fact that we've had some exposures in the building and people are wanting to try to minimize that, any possible future exposures. So that's a delta, that's a change of 166 students from week 1 to week 2, to week 4. Cohort B, 415, week 1, 399, week 2, 342, week 3. We'll see what happens tomorrow. Correspondingly, an increase in virtual students along the way. The most common reason that people are citing for switching is the possible exposure to COVID, considering what is happening not only in Bergen County, but across the state of New Jersey as cases continue to increase. So thirdly, or fourth, what that does is it impacts on my final recommendation, which is to modify our schedule beginning November 9th, which is the first day of the second marking period. I'm going to ask Mr. Proctor to put it up. He's put it up on the board. So rather than read everything that you can see on the line, I just point out the major differences are And the reasoning behind it is that since October, we've noticed the following things. Students are arriving well within the allotted time that we originally stated, so we were able to shorten that period. The 1 hour instructional period for in-person portion of the day is just too long, so we're recommending we shorten it to 50 minutes as opposed to 60. We do need some opportunities for increased contact between the students and the teachers, so we're adding a virtual period in the afternoon. As I just mentioned, more students are moving from the hybrid in-person model to a virtual model. And finally, we need to be prepared under any circumstances to be able to pivot to virtual should we be forced to, or we have a COVID exposure. And what I'm trying to do is have one schedule that we would operate, whether we were in person or in a virtual world, and then we would implement across the board for that. This provides the opportunity for teachers to have 4 contacts with the students as opposed to 3 right now during the week. And as I said, I'm recommending that we put this into place beginning November 9th when we return from teacher convention. And that concludes my report.
Okay, thank you, Patrick. I will now open it up to public comments on agenda items only, and that does include Patrick's presentation. We ask that you please state your name, whether it's a written question or an audio question, and we will impose a 3-minute limit. So, Mark, if we have any questions out there from the public, raise your hand or write in a question. Joan Ingram, please unmute your mic.
So, the schedule, the proposed schedule was kind of on a little quickly, so I didn't get too good of a look at it, but.
Mark, would you put it back up, please?
So, just curious why, if you had to go all, you wouldn't just have the Wednesday schedule every day? I mean, I think I heard you say that you want to have something that you could pivot back and forth between if need be, but if, let's say, you had to go all virtual, stay all virtual 2 weeks or longer, why wouldn't you have all the days mirror the Wednesday schedule? Because there's that big chunk of lunchtime, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday.
Right. It's a great question, and really what it's designed to do is address the fact that when we did operate the straight 8 schedule during the month of September, there were continuous, I don't want to use the word complaints, but there were continuous conversations about too much screen time, too much work for the students because at the high school in particular, they've been used to a 6-period day that's in a rotational model. And at the middle school, they're used to a shorter period of time. So it's just kind of balancing the complaint that we've had about screen fatigue and overwork.
Isabella Gagliardi.
Hello, I'm a senior at Riverdale, and I just backpacking off of what you just said, Mr. Fletcher. Yes, the Wednesday schedule, all 8 periods was a lot. It's not working for seniors, freshmen, sophomore, juniors. It's too much. You're in the beginning of this, I saw your mission statement, and it said, it stood out to me, to nurture every student's intellectual, social, physical, and emotional growth. And I think that what's happening right now, and the OLE periods, and even this new schedule that I'm seeing right in front of me, that statement is not being supported by the actions going on at the school right now. We're in school, we're in person, and then to go home, do lunch, and then to go back on the computer, because we're on the computer still when we're in class. And then to go back on, I just think it's unnecessary, and I don't really see the point in it really. And like, with all due respect, it's so much easier for you guys to do this to us and throw these extra 2 classes onto us. But it's easier to talk the talk than walk the walk. You know, us students are going through it, and it's tough. It's really tough. It's really challenging.
All right, so we have a written question from Daniela Bossabali. In the new schedule, will lunch be eaten at school or home? Are the periods after lunch from home?
At this time, we're still not serving lunch at school. The morning would be in person. The longer lunch on Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday is to allow for all travel back and forth from school to home for the in-person students, as well as the opportunity for people to get a lunch without rushing and then participate in the afternoon periods virtually.
Any more questions? The next written question was answered already. Kira Pichnich.
Hi, I'm a senior at Riverdale 2, and I was just wondering regarding the schedule. After the 8 periods was said to be a lot, I was just wondering whatever happened to the drop schedule that we were working with since I was a freshman. That always seemed to work. So I was just wondering the reason why that one wasn't being used.
We're trying to have a certain amount of consistency that exists between the middle school and the high school. And with the rotational drop, we are unable to, if you will, balance the cohorts as easily and as well as we should. It makes some intuitive sense that perhaps they would just be the same, but if you recall, when we were in the springtime, when we did follow the rotational schedule at the high school, you had 3 periods in the morning that rotated, and then 3 periods in the afternoon that did when we were in the all virtual model. So we're just, the hybrid presents some challenges for us that, you know, we're not all able to accomplish or overcome as best as we would like. Anybody who's heard me speak about the process that we've been involved in from the beginning knows that we're just trying to actually survive this process of the COVID implications that we have, and we're trying to do as best we can. And I know that you are all working hard. I know the staff is all working hard. I know the families are all working hard to get around this. And there really just isn't a good solution that satisfies everybody.
Next question is from Lori Dunn. How will kids to get to sports practice and be able to receive extra help?
Well, I'm certain that once co-curriculars can't and sports can't begin till after 3:05, so I'm certain that we're going to be able to accommodate that process. And certainly we need to understand that the beginning with the second marking period, we have about 2 weeks left of the fall season before we switch to the winter season. And once we go back to the winter season, we'll certainly be able to schedule those activities so that students can get their extra help.
Any more questions? Mr. Householder?
Yes, thank you. I'm Kier Halstetter. I teach math at the high school. So I guess my question, and maybe it may dovetail into Kira's question as well. Why is it that we're set on the idea of the virtual schedule having to be the same as this new schedule? And I guess the reason I ask that, and I appreciate the amount of work that goes into this, but is the whole point of having cohorts, right? And Mr. Fletcher had said cohorts, is because you're limiting population in the building. However, if we have to go fully virtual, that is not a consideration. I find it, I guess, interesting, disappointing, I'm not sure, that we don't have a schedule that would be all virtual. Like, agreed, the straight eight was really difficult for the students. And I mean, I got a lot of stress. We saw a lot of stress over that. But why can't we, if and when we know that we may end up virtual, why wouldn't we design a schedule that maybe could be a rotate drop through the virtual schedule, rotating 6 periods through the virtual day, and not worry about the AB cohort while we're virtual? Like, in other words, why would this schedule 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 make any sense if we were? It makes sense for hybrid, absolutely, but it doesn't make any sense for virtual. So I don't know. I mean, we have till the 9th or whatever the case may be, but I guess I would mention, as a teacher in the building, because I'm not sure how many teachers are actually involved in setting this schedule up, but as a teacher in the building, maybe we consider that if we do have to go all virtual, that this schedule not be implemented. Maybe we adapt the rotating schedule like we did in March, April, May, and June, and be virtual, because you don't have the same problems with attendance. You don't have to respond, it's just a comment.
Thank you.
Desiree Ferrandi?
Hi, thank you. I just wanted to say that I'm very proud of the students who spoke up this evening. They certainly expressed the frustrations of many students struggling with the straight 8 schedule. But I also wanted to address the new schedule. After running some numbers, the actual class time interaction with students during classes is approximately the same. It's 164 minutes approximately when we are in a normal rotate drop schedule. And with this schedule, you've allowed for 165 minutes of instruction period, and that's wonderful. My concern is that teachers lose an hour and a half prep time per week in this new schedule. And a lot of that prep time, especially for ICS teachers, for special ed teachers, for teachers of seniors and juniors who are writing recommendations, a lot of that prep time is lost to those other responsibilities. We also are losing the collaboration time that was built into the schedule that was vital for our PLCs to meet in order to establish aligned instruction. So I'm very concerned with the new schedule that we are going to, that our teaching is going to decline without the necessary time.
Thank you.
Any more questions or comments? There's a comment by Marie Antonelli, just thanking the board for all their efforts. I know this is a very tough time. I think the first student who spoke was very brave and really should receive some kind of response. And a comment from Lori Dunn as well. As a parent, I am disappointed that in-person instruction is being reduced in exchange for virtual instruction. Even if more students are choosing to go virtual, that should not impact the in-person instruction since the virtual students are virtual anyway. Another comment from Jennifer Cuccio Morris. I would also like to hear some responses from the board concerning student concerns. And another comment from Lucia Lauderhan. I'm just curious as to why teachers and students weren't asked to weigh in on the new schedule. And a raised hand from Jesse Henderson.
Yeah, I'm a senior at Riverdale too, and I was just wondering because I know a lot of people like that, like I'm friends with and stuff, like started going virtual now because the whole like quarantine thing. So I was just kind of wondering like what it means because like I play sports, and so if say someone were to just test positive in one of my classes, does like that automatically mean that I'm also shut down for 2 weeks, even though really in the classrooms, it's really not like we're in regular school. We're all with masks on, far apart, staring at our laptops anyway. It's not like how school used to be. So I was just wondering that if, say, someone in one of my classes does test positive, does that automatically mean that I'm shut down for the next 2 weeks as well?
So, as I mentioned before, we collaborate with our local health officials, and in the case of exposure at the high school, that's the Bergen County Health Department. However, universally, if there's a student that is in the class with you and tests positive within a certain period of time, and you were present, just by the fact that you were in the room for the whole class period or for more than 15 minutes of the class period, by definition, you're a close contact. By definition, you would have to quarantine. That's just the rules that are in place right now. And that guidance continues to move and change as we go along. So the answer is yes, that's how you define what a quarantine is.
Isabella Gagliardi.
Yes, I just have another little comment. I have repeatedly been told by my teachers, and the teachers are constantly telling all of the students, use your voices, tell the administrators how you feel. I've sent an email to the principal a few weeks ago. I got a response that didn't even have anything to do with what I wrote in my email. And just before I said something and I got no response back. I'm using my voice. My friends, us students, we are using our voices, and it's like you guys aren't even listening. And I mean this with all due respect. So please don't take this the wrong way. It's just really, really upsetting and discouraging to us because we want a good year, especially for seniors. We want to be in school. We want to be with our friends, and we're trying to make this happen. And it's like you guys are just, you don't care, and it's so upsetting. I'm trying to use my voice and I'm trying to be professional, but it's so hard when I know that the people who are actually supposed to be professional are not listening. And honestly, it seems like you guys really don't even care.
Isabella, I'll respond on behalf of everybody. Look, I don't think anybody's trying to be disrespectful to you or to any teacher or to anybody. It's impossible, and we all know it's impossible to have a conversation where you have 1,100 people and more people having an impact on a conversation. We've been listening to the issues of fatigue. We've been listening to the issues of trying to protect you. We've been listening to the issues of saying that you're stressed out because of the school situation. We're trying to find a balance in that. And of course, that doesn't always work to everyone's advantage. But no one's trying to be disrespectful of you. We went through this in a very detailed way in the springtime. You know that we all struggled to try to provide an experience for seniors that had some semblance of reality. But the simple fact is we are not in normal time. I would like you to be in school without a mask every day, eating lunch with your friends and being able to enjoy all of the things that we do in a quote unquote normal time. But that's just not the case. It's just not. And unfortunately, we have to make some decisions along the way. But no one is trying to be disrespectful to you or to anyone else.
Thank you.
Joshua, please unmute your mic.
Hi, I'm a senior at Riverdale. I just have a question of if the new schedule goes into place. You said the co-curricular and sports would be at 3:05, and I know like a big problem now with clubs is that a lot of people have to choose between clubs and sports. So would it be possible for clubs to also potentially meet at lunch under this new proposed schedule?
Yeah, that was Josh. I'm sorry.
Yes.
Is that Josh? Josh, last year, if you will, pre-COVID, co-curriculars and extra help took place at a whole bunch of different times during the course of a regular given day. When people spoke to their co-curricular advisor or spoke to their teacher and there was a free period and people made appointments to get extra help, I don't see how that wouldn't be able to take place during this kind of a model too. In school, last year, sports were not supposed to start until after we got through the 3:05 day. We all know that that didn't happen all of the time. However, these are just points along the calendar where everybody can use to do their organization. So the answer to your question is, can people meet during lunch? Sure. And if you have a free period during period 2, you can meet then as well. There's no reason that those kinds of flexibilities can't be taken advantage of.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
A question from Liz Oriana of Oradell. Has there been any further progress in determining whether students with IEPs can attend more days in person?
Yes, I'm not sure if if you've had any conversation with Mr. Cooney. I know that there were some conversations, the emails that went out today. We're trying to analyze the in-person impact of bringing in other individuals for more than the cohort period. So to be really specific regarding special education, if a child is in on Monday, can they attend on Tuesday? We're in the process of analyzing the fluid situation to determine if bringing that child in changes the capacity in the room in order to make it a situation where we support it. So that's what's going on now. We have a target of trying to answer that question specifically with the implementation after teachers' convention.
We have some more comments here. One from Lindsay Silverman. The students are very stressed with the schedule. It's a lot of screen time. And now you're adding 2 more classes after lunch. Please reconsider screen time. Another comment from Joanne Baxter. I understand that there is no perfect plan and appreciate all your efforts. However, I agree with some of the other parent comments. I'm happy that more instruction time is being added. However, I'm disappointed that students who choose hybrid will have less in-class instruction. And a question from Jag, will MS still have ABCD weeks?
Will the middle school have A, B, C, D weeks? Yeah, that still exists.
And a question from George of Oradell. Since the instruction is the same whether you are at home or virtual, would it be in an athlete's best interest to go virtual to avoid the possibility of a quarantine?
That's a great question, and it's a difficult one for me to answer because you're talking about risk. I would like to see students in school. I would like to see them in school more than they are. However, we all need to be aware of the fact that there is a risk of exposure. We need to be aware further that the risk of exposure in schools has been relatively low. Most of the exposures has taken place outside of school and then brought into the building, as in the case of our situation here. So unfortunately, you're going to have to make that decision with your family, with your parents, as to whether or not that's the direction that you want to go.
Julia Panchi, you can unmute your mic.
Hi, I'm a senior at Riverdale, and I just wanted to go off of what Isabella Gagliardi's comment was. I totally understand her frustration. Coming from a student, I feel like nobody really communicates with us. Coming from my perspective, I didn't really even know that all this new stuff was happening. Our teachers advocate for us to always speak up, and I've had a bunch of my friends send emails, talk to teachers. They tell us to say things, and even when we do try to reach out, you guys don't even seem like you're even giving us a voice. Like, I don't even think anyone even had a say in how this schedule was going to work. And I just find it really frustrating that like everything's handed to us and we don't even really have a say in how it's going to be handled. It's just a comment. You don't really have to answer me, but it's just really frustrating I play sports, I work, I go to school. It's a lot of screen time. Nobody understands the frustration of a student. And I think our teachers are starting to realize that now.
Thank you.
Jennifer Cuccio Morris.
Hi, everyone. I have a question. I'm assuming that you spoke with other superintendents and other people who have implemented this schedule in other schools because it's identical to several that we've seen. And I asked this question in the chat, but I was skipped over. So I'm wondering, other than the class time, which obviously is valuable, we all want to see our students. We all want to instruct them as much as possible. I wondered if there are other pros and cons that you've heard that you could share with us. I'm curious what they would be and what your opinion is of that.
So the answer to the question is yes, of course, we've looked at other school districts, and I know many of you have as well. So I don't need to, go over the list of them. And I know that many of you know that the schedule that's being proposed here is not uncommon in Berkeley, particularly in secondary school districts. The pros and cons are everything that everybody has talked about before: screen time, in-person instruction time, balancing all of the needs that exist for students along the way. However, I think by spreading out the opportunity for instructional touches, instructional opportunities over the course of 4 opportunities as opposed to being crammed into 3, it will provide a better opportunity for people to balance the instruction and to balance the content over the course of a given week.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Kira Piccinich.
Hi, yes, I just had another comment, and thank you again for your time. I was just wondering, in regards to other schools, I hear about like other people who get, they send like surveys out to, or like Microsoft Forms to parents and students regarding like different options and whether they want to weigh in their input about what's going on. So I was just wondering if Riverdale has ever thought about, like, even before this schedule was proposed, if there was anything that could be sent out saying like, do you have any suggestions, or what do you feel worked for your kid, or as a student, what do you feel worked for you? Because I feel like something like that would be beneficial so you guys could get as much input as you can without it being overwhelming.
Thank you for that. We did a bunch of that over the course of the summer, tried to incorporate a lot of that information along the way, and have certainly been listening to individuals, students that have sent information in, staff members that have sent information in, community members that have sent information in regarding the different aspects of this. I could just tell you that I am fully aware that no matter what we do, no matter how we do it, there will be a disappointment in some and happiness in others and indifference in others. But all we have to do is try to remember that we're trying to do the best we can under the circumstances here. And I remain hopeful that we will be able to spread the content over a longer period of time, which will reduce your stress and reduce the concentration that you all seem to be going through when we either had the straight 8 or what we're experiencing now.
Amanda Merkovich. Amanda Merkovich, you can unmute your mic. Noel Serafian.
Hi. So first I wanted to thank you for like all the time you've put into it. I can tell that a lot of thought has gone into the schedule changes. But I just had one suggestion if I could. I think it would be beneficial for the student body if there was someone that the students could email or reach out to and get a response back so that more students feel heard and feel like their opinion is being heard. I feel like students are kind of lacking that now. And I think everyone's kind of longing for someone to hear their voice.
And I appreciate that and I understand that. However, I can certainly state unequivocally that any student that's ever contacted me has gotten a response. And I'm pretty sure that any student that's contacted either their guidance counselor or Mr. Principe, Mr. Flanagan, or Mr. Hines has gotten a response. I don't think anybody's been ignored. And if it happened by error, not because somebody wanted to say, I'm not going to respond to Noelle because she just talked to us. I don't think that there's ever been a closed door opportunity here for anybody. I recognize that this is a change, and I recognize that it will cause some consternation. But I certainly hope you all feel that you can approach anybody in the school, any adult in school, and ask a question and get an answer to.
We have a written question from Jennifer Full. The time in the building is so important to those in the hybrid program. Why take away an hour? Wouldn't they be able to go into 12:30 and have one period after lunch? And I'm sorry.
I mean that's an option, but we're not taking away an hour.
And Sheila Minich asks, when will we be getting a survey?
I don't know. I don't have an answer to that question.
And Jasmine Gabay from River Edge, with this model, when will be the elective period 9, or when will the elective period 9 be for band or chorus?
When it occurs right now, they'll be able to work that in.
And Vicky, you can unmute your mic.
Hi, good evening. Thank you for your time. I have two questions. My first question is, can you remind me, why is it necessary to have a virtual day on Wednesday? I'm curious why the week can't go A, B, A, B, A, B, and continue A, B, A, B. I understand you don't want to drop the days, but do the rotation schedule. But why can't the A, B days be consistent? Why do we have to have a virtual day on Wednesdays? That's the first part of my question.
It aligns with at least one of the other elementary districts that sends to us. It also provides us an opportunity to provide some enhanced cleaning in the facilities.
I don't understand what you mean by it aligns with the elementary school.
If I'm not mistaken, and again, I don't have it up in front of me because I think we did this already, but River Edge has a virtual day on Wednesday. I honestly don't know what's going on at Oradell at this particular moment, but we're trying to at least have some consistency with all of the different family groups that exist in the two communities.
I can appreciate that, and I think that's very kind-hearted, but I'm kind of more concerned about my high school students and my middle school students getting the education they need while in elementary schools. I kind of feel if they were to be in school 5 days a week, maybe we could get a little bit more in-person learning and be able to get a little less screen time by reducing that afternoon screen time. And then this way, is there a reason why I'm hoping the school is cleaned each evening.
Of course it is.
So then I don't quite understand the need for Wednesday for cleaning.
Well, as we've mentioned on numerous occasions before, it's a deeper level of cleaning because you have less people in the facility.
So that can't be done in the evening, on a Tuesday evening?
It's a deeper level of cleaning. We have enhanced cleaning every day. This is a deeper level of cleaning.
Mm-hmm. Is it a fogging?
Okay, Mrs. Baumann, you said you had a couple of questions here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, maybe my other one is a statement. I'm listening
Okay.
to the frustration of these high school students, and I think they've reached the level of frustration their parents and the adults involved has reached. By the time we get to these Board of Ed meetings, I think it's apparent decisions have been made, they're put in place, and nothing's going to change. Is there any way that maybe there could be 2 or 3 students and 2 or 3 adults who can be involved in the planning? Because to me, this is after the fact. Anything that's being said now, I kind of have to agree with the students. It's being said, it's being listened to, but it's frustrating because nothing's being done. So maybe if we can get some thoughts in prior to the Board of Ed meeting, maybe the students can bring things to light that the faculty and the administration and the parents aren't aware of.
Thank you.
Maybe considering before rather than after the decisions have been made could be helpful to all.
Thank you.
Lucia Waterhan.
Hi, good evening, everyone, and thank you so much for your time. I really do appreciate all of the time and effort, and I can only imagine what goes into something like this. I guess my only comment is, number one, obviously really proud of the students for speaking up, but my other question is, with something that's important where the students and the teachers are in the rooms every day, I was hoping maybe there would be some sort of group or maybe a survey, maybe not, but at least a committee so that we can share our thoughts as teachers and share the student views as well so that, I'm not saying less time or more time, but just maybe a little bit more insight into what is going on in the classrooms to work on the schedule. I realize you can't have 1,200 people and 170 teachers working on the schedule. It would be nearly impossible to please everyone. I was just hoping that maybe before the decision was made, we would have a little more, we would be able to provide a little more insight into this matter, since we're, almost on the front lines every day. And really, so are the students for the most part. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
We have a written question. We have a written question from George of Ordell. Is there a process or plan in place for students who may travel over school breaks and then return to school?
I have provided or written to parents. We all need to understand that if we travel and we travel to a place that is on New Jersey's quarantine list, you should quarantine for the period of time that is appropriate for that location or that destination under the rules and conditions that exist in the travel advisory. So I'll just be very specific at this time. We are aware that Wisconsin is on our travel list. If you were traveling to Wisconsin and you were there for more than the travel advisory, upon your return, you should quarantine without coming back to school. I'll send that out again to the parents, but it was in one of my earlier communications to the community.
We have a comment from Nancy Shapiro. I'd like to echo Mrs. Lauderhand's comment that it would have been nice to see all stakeholders, including teachers and students, surveyed so their input could be considered in formulating the Phase 2. When Northern Valley Regional surveyed its community, the overwhelming feedback across all stakeholders was that the full remote day presents a significant challenge and students were exhausted for the afternoon classes. As other schools such as Northern Valley Regional, Northern Highlands, and Cresco High Schools eliminate the all-virtual day, I'm disappointed to see that we are missing this important in-person learning opportunity.
Thank you.
Tiffany Correa. Tiffany?
Sorry, my 6-month-old pressed it by mistake.
One more question from Karen Bonuk. Will there be time for other non-agenda items not related to COVID?
Yes,
At
please.
the end of the meeting.
Well, if non-agenda items, yes, at the end of the meeting.
Sorry, Mark, can't hear you. Is that it?
One more question popped up. Nancy Shapiro. If cleaning presents a problem on Tuesday evenings, perhaps additional custodial staff could be hired so the students can return to school on Wednesday.
Thank you.
And a raised hand from Morgan Keeley.
Hi, I'm a senior here and I just have like some input. So with this new schedule, why can't Wednesdays be a shorter day? Like when I talk to my friends and my teachers about the Wednesday schedule, everyone has the same opinion that it's like too long of a day and everyone's probably tired out by period 6. So having 6 periods a day and for 2 days and then going to Wednesday, which is every single period, and then going back to 2 days, that's going to be more exhausting with the upcoming schedule.
Thank you.
Any more questions? We have guest FK.
Hi, are any of these comments that are being raised tonight, these concerns being raised tonight, even being considered? Because I have a son who's spiraling on remote, and now you're taking away more in-class support. Are any of the comments from the seniors, the teachers, the parents, are any of them even being considered? Because some of them, you guys aren't even answering.
We listen to and hear everything that's being said, yes.
So are they going to be considered?
Yes, over time, they'll be considered, just like all the other comments that were made beginning since September. Yes, we take them all into consideration.
Okay, do you take into consideration, I know COVID is real, but what about the kids that are shutting down? What about those kids and those issues? Are those being addressed?
I certainly hope that they are. I certainly hope that if we recognize that a student is shutting down, that a staff member sees a student shutting down, that a parent sees a student shutting down, that they will alert us to it so that we can bring the other supports that we have as far as our child study team, our student assistance counselors, our outside counselors, that we can bring support to those individuals.
The teachers have been wonderful. They have worked with me. They have gone above and beyond. Truth in the matter is, we need more in-class instruction.
Vivian Petrosino.
Hi, I also want to say thank you for everything that he's doing to try to get our kids back into school. But I do want to say that this looks like a lot of work went into making such a confusing schedule. I have a 7th grader, so it's hard enough for these 7th graders to get adjusted to middle school. I am a school counselor in Glen Ridge High School, and I will tell you that we are ABABA, BABAB with no virtual day. Shortened, early dismissal schedule. So they meet with every teacher, every class, every day. And so 1 week they're 3 days in school, the next week they're 2. And it just seems to make so much more sense than, I don't know what this looks like. It's confusing to me and I feel sorry for my kid. And the virtual Wednesdays, mentally done by noon. Like really, it is too long of a day for kids to be sitting for virtual classes from 8 to 2:40, but that's going to be followed with all these other, afternoons virtual. And it's just, I understand. I mean, I don't want to be, I don't want to be sick. I don't want anybody to get sick, but there is a better way to do it. And I think that I really would appreciate if you would look into that. The ABABA, BABAB, where out of a 10-day period, they are actually getting 5 days in school. And like I said, 5 days a week, shortened schedule, meeting with every single class. Just seems to make so much more sense. I'm happy to share more information if you want to get in touch with me, Vivian Petrosino. Thank you.
Thank you.
Matthew Tybus.
Hi. I was just wondering if you guys meet outside this meeting to discuss what people have said and have someone writing notes on what people are saying, because it kind of seems you're dismissive of what people are saying right now.
I appreciate your feelings on that. This meeting is being recorded, and of course, we're taking notes and following through on it.
Kathleen Golden.
Hi, thank you so much for your time and consideration tonight. I was curious as to why the 4-day ABCD drop rotation schedule that we instated pre-COVID has been taken away in place of this schedule. Are there any added benefits to this plan against the other one we've been accustomed to the rest of my 3 years of high school?
I think I've answered that question a couple of times before on this evening. We're building, this is building off of the work that was done as a part of our reopening plan. and it's a continuing model as we move through this process of trying to administer a school and operate a school in this environment. So just as this is an evolution, we'll take the considerations of all the other comments that we've made and continue to see how we can improve the process as we go along.
Ryan Berman.
Hi, I'm a junior and I'm all virtual because recently, like a lot of people on my team, on the soccer team, have been quarantined. So I decided to go all virtual. And I just want to say that Wednesdays are really, really stressful because all 8 classes, like by the end, even after lunch, I get really stressed and I can't make it through all 8 classes. And it's really hard. And I feel like there could be something better than all 8 classes on Wednesdays.
Thank you.
Olivia Tashjian.
Hi, my name is Olivia Tashjian and I'm a senior. Thank you for taking your time tonight to be on this meeting. As someone who's been in the school for the last 4 years, the drop schedule has always worked. It allowed the students to take a break from specific classes and allowed the teachers to take a break themselves. My mom is a teacher and she spends hours on the laptop after school hours planning. The teachers are working their tails off every day and doing a great job for every student. Why not compromise? The half schedule has always worked. It was a full day, including the drop schedule, and it would allow the students to leave at the same time as they are now.
Thank you. Thank you.
Any more comments or questions? Nothing else.
Okay, thank you very much. We're going to move into the student member report of the agenda. So I don't know who wants to go first, Jesse, Noel, or Josh?
I'll go first.
Okay, thanks, Noel.
I think my classmates kind of summed up their feeling over the past hour. But I think the main thing would definitely be, I think the 8:20 to 2:30 scheduled day is just a lot for the student body. It's tiring being on the computer for that long time. I think the students want to see their teachers more and see their classes more, but I think that's just a long period of time.
Yeah, I'll go. Kind of like, yeah, a lot of the kids, like, and students, like, especially like senior class, said a lot of stuff today, and I think it's like important that like people get like that they like say what they feel, but at the same time, like a lot of us like need to voice those opinions, but see that it is like we still need to go to school, so like it's going to be stressful, but like at the same time, if we need to do this virtual stuff because of COVID and we can't be in school, we're going to have to stare at the laptop. So like I understand that like it's kind of like a lose-lose situation. Like there really is no good way to really do everything. But I just think that a lot of like students and teachers also like really think that like want to be heard, like want to have some input in like what's going on since we're the ones that really have to do it on a daily basis.
Okay, thanks, Jesse.
I agree with what Noel and Jesse said. I did like that like everyone from my class spoke up and voiced their opinions because we all have different opinions, and I would just like to tell the board what like school is like now for us. Like Mondays and Tuesdays, since we only have like what used to be our morning classes, and Thursdays and Fridays, since we only have what used to be afternoon. Wednesdays have become kind of a day where we have like a lot of work due, especially for the other classes, because homework from classes that we don't even have that day in order to keep up with it. So I'm not saying like an addition of class instruction time might help alleviate some of that homework. But as of right now, in order to keep up with the pace of courses, from the previous years,
we are given a lot more homework than we were used to, purely because we have less instruction time. And I think adding more instruction time, like what was proposed, might alleviate some of that. So even though it is very stressful right now, with more instruction time, I think it might get a little less stressful.
Thanks, Josh. Okay, I just want to say on basically how these board meetings work. This is not an open exchange with the public, with specific board members. The superintendent or myself may respond to comments with an acknowledgement or an answer where appropriate. But the board as a whole does not respond to the public. We meet with each other and we do hear your feedback. And we will make necessary adjustments to anything to help run the district better tomorrow than it was run today. It doesn't matter what we do, we're going to hear feedback in these troubling times. We've heard we didn't have enough instruction time. Now we're adding more instruction time. We're just, it's the nature of the beast. We're going to get feedback, whether it's positive or negative. We're trying to do the best that we can. We have confidence in our administration, and we do listen. So that's all I have to say for now. Let's move on to some of the committee reports. I believe the did meet since our last meeting is the Facilities Committee. Doug?
Yes, we met just prior to the board meeting to review some numbers that had come in for upgrades to our HVAC for added either UV or sorry, word just jumped out of my mouth. So some additional safety precautions to our HVAC systems. While our systems are 100% compliant and safe currently, we're looking to any other upgrades that we can do on those. So that was just the discussion for today's meeting.
Okay, thanks, Doug. Alan, you didn't have any budget meeting, did you?
No, we didn't.
Okay, John?
We haven't met, but we've been conscious of information that we can share and improvements to the website. The most recent thing that was added was bios for the board members. That's the only update.
Okay, thanks. Stephanie, anything with curriculum?
Hi, sorry, I'm back to sharing with Claudia. No, we have not met. We typically would be meeting within the next few weeks, so it is likely on the calendar. I think I just haven't flipped the page yet, but if not, then we will be scheduling something soon.
Okay, thanks. Claudia, policy?
We haven't met, but I understand from tonight we'll have to make a change in our meeting policies. We'll just wait on Pat to get us that information.
Okay. Let's move on to the consent agenda. Do I have a motion for consent?
I make a motion. It's Claudia.
Okay.
I'll second. It's Stephanie.
Are there any questions
Why?
or concerns? Stephanie, do you have a question or concern, or you just?
I have to recuse myself from something, so I needed to know which one it was, and it wasn't on the screen.
Okay. Well, if we have no questions, Tom, when you're ready.
Yeah.
Yes.
John?
Yes.
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 Yes, I'm recusing myself on 8E3. Is that correct?
Yes. Okay, we're going to move on to the first vote outside consent. Under resignations or retirements, number one is recommended by the superintendent that the board accept with regret the resignation due to retirement of the high school head custodian, Ronald Shoemaker, effective January 1, 2021. May I have the motion, please?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second Tracy Allen.
Okay, Tracy, thank you. We wish Ronald well in his retirement. Anybody have anything to add?
He's going to be missed.
He's a good man. Very hard here.
Okay. Tom, when you're ready?
Yes, and I hope he enjoys his time.
Alan?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Tracy?
Yes.
Doug?
Yes.
Walter?
Yes.
Stephanie?
Yes, thank you for all that you've done for our student body and our schools and anybody who's walked into our building, and enjoy.
Al?
Yes. Thank you, Ronald. Okay, the second vote is under Finance and District Operations. Superintendent, at the request of the Board Secretary, recommends that the Board accept line item transfers and the adjustments as listed in the financial report for the month ending September 2020. May I have a motion?
I'll move on that.
Alan?
Yes.
Okay. And, I'll second that. Tom, when you're ready?
Claudia?
Yes.
Alan?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Tracy?
Yes.
Doug?
Yes.
Walter?
Yes.
Stephanie?
Yes.
And Al?
Yes. May I have a motion to bring forward the appointment from the executive agenda, please?
I'll make a motion. It's Claudia.
Okay, second?
I'll second it, Stephanie.
Okay, thank you, Stephanie. Appointments. It is recommended by the superintendent that the board approve the appointment of Lauren McDonald as teacher of social studies, tenure track, effective January 1, 2021, or sooner if released, to June 30th, 2021, at a salary of $55,699, BA Step 4. This appointment is contingent upon receipt of proper certification, academic records, and satisfactory background reference checks. Any questions or concerns here? Tom, when you're ready?
Claudia?
Yes.
Alan? Al? John?
Yes.
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 Tracy Allen?
Yes.
Doug?
Yes.
Walter?
Yes.
Stephanie?
Yes.
And Al?
Yes.
Alan snuck in a yes in there, Tom. Alan did respond to what I was responding. He said yes.
Okay, this brings us to old business, new business. Anybody have anything?
You know what, I'm just going to comment on the students. I appreciate the fact that they took the time to sit in on this meeting, talk, express their concerns and their frustrations. We all have the same frustrations and concerns right now. So I do want them to know that we are listening to them. We do take notes. These meetings are recorded. We do go back, we look at things. That's why we made changes. That's why the schedule was changed, due to the information that we were given the first several meetings prior to the start of the school year. So I just wanted to thank the students.
Thanks, Claudia. Anybody else have any? Tracy?
Hi, this is Tracy. I too just want to speak to the confidence level that the students exuded this evening. It is a hard thing to speak your mind, voice your opinion, and to be able to do so at such a young age is really a testament to the staff in the building that has ingrained to them the idea that their voice matters and their voice is important. And I want to reiterate what Mrs. O'Neill said, and that your voices are heard. We do take into consideration the things that you do say. Many of us are parents of students in the building as well, and we understand the hardships that you're facing now. And I think after this meeting, the board will have a very honest conversation about the stress level, the difficulties, the logistics of all the things that you have all mentioned this evening. And just know that we are here, we are listening, and we are trying our best to accommodate each and every student. And that we're hoping for a much more pleasant outcome in the upcoming months. And just keep working hard and showcasing your talent like you did tonight.
Thank you, Teresa. Okay. Anybody else?
You're muted.
Is now the time for non-agenda items?
Just a second. Okay. Yes, now would be the time for any public comments on anything, whether it be on the agenda or non-agenda items. So please, go ahead.
Vanessa Brunel.
Yes, thank you very much. So thank you very much for hosting the meeting, and kudos to the kids for speaking up today. You definitely deserve your voice to be heard, and definitely deserve a response as well. I came in to listen in on the meeting today just to see if there might be any mention of the disturbing comments that had been made, possibly by one of our students. If the board had any comments to make on it, that they're able to make.
What's more?
Are you describing something that may have occurred over the weekend or today that was reported to the school earlier?
Pat.
So sorry, I didn't quite catch that.
Yes, I apologize. I had inadvertently hit my mute button. Thank
Sure.
you. I'm just trying to determine if you're referring to something that was reported to the school today.
Yes.
Okay, so I have not made the board aware of that comment yet. I did, as I indicated to someone who contacted me earlier, we've turned that matter over to the police.
I understand. Okay. I'm just curious. I mean, obviously, what needs to be handled by law enforcement needs to be handled by law enforcement. Would the board reach out to families just to let them know, what information at least that they're able to share about the matter? And,
Well,
whatever it turns out to be as well, I mean, I understand it was pretty disturbing, and I personally feel it's important to share with the community. It's one thing to have a mission, but when these incidents do occur, you know, are we going to denounce negative behavior? Again, I don't want to go into specifics. There needs to be more information, more of an investigation. I'm not going to pretend like I know everything. I'm not 100% either, but what I heard today was disturbing.
As I indicated, the matter, a matter was reported to the high school today, purported to be by one of our students, purported to be done on a private, outside of school website or social media platform. When the matter was reported to us, we, as I said, since it was done outside of school and on something unaffiliated with the district, we immediately involved law enforcement. There's an ongoing investigation, and each and every time that something like this happens, and unfortunately, it's not the first, we we go through a process with law enforcement, and at the conclusion of their investigation, then we may have our own opportunities for further action.
Understood. Well, thank you very much.
You're most welcome.
I seem to be having a problem with you, but can you hear me? Any other questions from the public?
Any more questions from the public? Nicole Kim?
Hi, I'm kind of just like following up on Vanessa's question, but I was just wondering if there was going to be anything that's going to be taking place like within like the administration, or like how like the high school is going to handle it, like just to denounce like this like racist and like discriminatory behavior that's like it's strictly like prohibited, and like what are some future plans to change this culture at Riverdale?
Well, again, as I indicated, that we've turned this matter over to the police, and we're working our way through that process. It was just brought to our attention today. I responded to an email from an individual that came to me this afternoon regarding this matter, and we need to let that process work its way out. This was done, as I said, off-site, not part of a school activity.
We have a raised hand, or not a raised hand, but a question. Karen Bonuk, you may speak. Karen, unmute yourself. No, we can't hear you. Any more questions or comments? Oh, okay. Karen Bonuk asks, or types, this need not be tied to today. A group of us have tried to raise the issue of the racism experienced by students. Any more questions or comments? Serena Barr.
Are you guys going to do anything regarding the petition to change the curriculum at Riverdale, such as hiring Black teachers and educators and teaching more Black history?
So if you're referring to the petition that was provided to me in the spring, and then conversations in the early part of the summer, I've presented that information, shared that information with the board. We certainly had some we're trying to provide some opportunities for the individuals that raised that to come to or speak at a board meeting. Obviously, we got overwhelmed with COVID, so I'm going to just say it this way. I would certainly encourage the group to reach back out to me again so that we can set up a firm time that you can present your issues to the Board of Education. It could be at our next board meeting. Hopefully we won't be overwhelmed by the issues of reopening school and COVID. because it would be probably better for it not to go through any filter and let you have the opportunity to say it yourself. So that's a public plea to reach out to me so that I can schedule something for our next board meeting, which I believe is November 16. I'd have to check, but I'll look. Let me look. '16, yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
We have a comment from Elizabeth Halsall. Follow-up on Nikki's question. While we do realize that this did not take place on school grounds, it still was by a Riverdale student and represents our community in a negative way. How do you respond to students who are part of this community making these comments?
That I am, we are appalled by a comment that would be made like that. It certainly is something that we would not want to be attributed to the Riverdale schools. We certainly hope it wasn't something that was learned here, and hope that as we go through this process and understand more deeply what took place and how and why, that if there was intent to on the behalf of the person that's involved in this, that they would be that they would understand their wrongdoing. However, this is a matter that's still under investigation. The district does not tolerate a racist behavior or behavior that pits one person against another. But this matter is under investigation. We were made aware of it a couple of hours ago.
Any further questions? Comment from Karen Bonnock. Please note, even beyond being appalled, there could be potential for violence. It would help if the community hears a strong, immediate, loud response. These are tense times.
Thank you.
Any more comments or questions? Nothing else.
Okay, thank you, Mark. May I have a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion, it's Claudia.
I'll second it, it's Alan.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.